Hi there again, it's Nick here with another Marketing for Managers video in this pricing series, and I want to draw your attention to the role that price plays in developing, maintaining customer perceptions of the organisation, customer perceptions of that organisation's brands. One technique that's often used when pricing is to use geography as the basis upon which to not only develop a brand image, but a price that goes alongside it. Why, for instance, do we have a perception that motor vehicles manufactured in Germany, such as Audi, BMW and Mercedes-Benz, command a higher price? Do all German vehicles have this perception? Think about that in line of Swiss cheese. Why does Swiss cheese or Dutch cheese in a supermarket shelf typically command a higher price than perhaps some of the more locally produced cheeses? Why does French wine command a higher price compared to some of the locally produced wines? What does that tell us about pricing? Essentially, and I'm linking pricing here to consumer behaviour, there are consumer perceptions that geographic locations can assist consumers in developing an image of a product because of its geographic origins and a price that typically supports it. Why are electronics that emanate from Japan, they're either manufactured or at least designed in Japan, have a higher perception of ones that are not? Again, what does that tell us? Can we charge a higher price relative to the competition or not? Keep that in mind as we move along. One of the other ways of thinking about pricing from a more theoretical approach is to think about the four types of value. And we've seen this earlier in the semester, but what I'm going to do now is take those the four types of value, repeat them again, but with a pricing context, just so that you can see the ways that we can use the theory to apply a relevant price to our value proposition. The first type of value is functional value. It is the most common type of value, as I'll show you in an illustration very soon. And that's where we develop a price that reflects the functionality of the value proposition in which we put out onto the market. So consider comparing a loaf of bread, very little functionality, very cheap, versus a computer, lots of functionality, lots of functions, different price because of the functionality. The more functions that you have, in theory, the more consumers are willing to pay for that value proposition. Monetary value is what you give up for what you get as a consumer. So if I have to give up $5 to buy a meat pie, that's the monetary value. If I don't think that that pie is worth $5, I simply don't buy it, or I might buy it from a different vendor to reflect the monetary value that I, as a consumer, believe is worthwhile for that given value proposition. Moving along, social value is the price that consumers pay that allows them to connect with others. And a good example of a value proposition for this is membership. If you buy a membership to a sporting club or to a social club, that's the price you pay to socially connect with others. And the last type of value that we typically have in marketing, which I want to discuss from a pricing context, is the hedonic or psychological value. And that, of course, is the extent to which a product or a value proposition allows consumers to express themselves in the way that they wish to express themselves, perhaps to differentiate themselves with others, or perhaps to position themselves in society. With that in mind, I have a graphic I want to share with you, and this is a useful graphic because what it does is it takes the previous slide and put it into a more illustrative context, where at the top is social impact value and the amount of money that we as consumers are prepared to pay to reach that social impact, if it is indeed an ideal that we pursue. One of the other reasons why I like this graphic is if you were to put that graphic to the left-hand side of a page and to put Maslow's needs hierarchy from the consumer behavior videos earlier in the semester on the right-hand side of the page and then overlay them somehow, it tells a really compelling story for how consumer behavior may influence what consumers pay for a value proposition. I think it's an interesting exercise, and I think it's one that you should do for the hell of doing it. Take a value proposition and do that little exercise. With that in mind, thank you for watching. Until the next video, bye for now.